We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How did not get sushi after Monday Night Raw?
Hey everybody, I want to welcome you to the Wrestling Republic Daily Broadcast. It is October 11th. It's a Saturday, and we just finished watching Crown Jewel. It's a post-show. I know it's a rarity seeing me host. It rarely happens, but you know, when every other host goes down with the flu, my one-time annual contractually obligated hosting duties comes into play, but I can't do this alone. Let's go across the pond. What's up, Archie?
I'm doing well, mate. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it was a really fun show. This was last minute for me as well. But I'm happy to check off the hosting bucket list. So now I've had every kind of host on the Wrestling Republic Daily. So yeah, and I've got the Eagles colours on as well for the Eagles boys here, as you'll see with our next guest. And the heating's been fixed in my house as well, which is always good.
That is always awesome to do. Josh, what's up? Archie kind of gave it away that you're the other co-host on here. So what's up?
Yeah, what's going on? How are we? Yeah, I'm tired. You know, people across the pond actually got lucky. I know the Americans are usually the lucky ones that get to watch at prime time, 8 p.m. You know, unfortunately, we had to wake up at 8 a.m. today, me and you, Anthony. So I'm a little bit tired, but it was a hell of a show. So, you know, that woke me up for sure, and I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this was a show that, you know, previously had taken place in Saudi Arabia, and I had to keep reminding myself, no, it's not in Saudi Arabia this year. It's in Australia. Before we get into the topics, the one thing I do want to say about the opening, as cool as it is, them, you know, getting on a private plane and flying to Saudi to get the belts and fly them back to Australia, I find that far-fetched. I gotta be honest. I don't picture them doing that every year if the show's not in Saudi Arabia. I don't, because are they going to ship them back? Like you're going to spend that kind of money to just ship these belts back and forth? I find that a little hard to believe. I don't know where you guys fall on all that. Like, where do you guys?
No, I agree that it'd probably be easy just to say they're being kept at WWE headquarters or something, and then just like kind of like have that as the home base, because it doesn't really make sense for Saudi Arabia to be the home base of the titles. But yeah, that was a bit weird.
I think the only I honestly thought we were going to see different belts that were more catered towards Australia, and they'd be different for each place they were. They weren't, obviously, and the logistics didn't really add up there. I agree.
I just don't picture them doing that. Obviously, the first topic of today is Roman Reigns against Bronson Reed in an all-out brawl that they did. I do think it was the wise move. Bronson going over, hometown, makes sense. He's the one that needs to get made. Even Roman taking a loss does nothing for his legacy as a whole, but I thought it did more for him. First up, I'm going to go with you, Archie. What's your thoughts?
I thought this was a really fun match. I wasn't really expecting anything else from it. The match in Paris was really good. I've been wanting Roman and Bronson and Roman and Bron match for a while, since Roman started feuding with the Vision. So I'm happy that I've checked one of those off the list. And I'm happy for Bronson Reed as well, because at Elimination Chamber, the last time WWE were in Australia, he wasn't able to compete on that show. Obviously for a great moment for him, because I think it was because of the birth of his child. But it's great that he kind of gets this moment, and a massive moment, because I think in the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, he was scheduled to face Seth Rollins for the world title originally, but arguably beating Roman Reigns in your home country is a much bigger statement than winning a world title. And you're right, he was the perfect choice to win this match. I love the kind of turmoil between the OG bloodline. I think this kind of layers upon layers story between the bloodline and the tension between them. That's kind of what made us fall in love with the bloodline story originally. So it's great to see that kind of back. But yeah, Bronson Reed, he's only the second person to pin Kazuchika Okada and Roman Reigns apparently after Finn Balor. So that's a massive moment for him. And I've always thought he's a future world champion. Yes, he's a bit older than Bron Breakker, but he's kind of the Batista of the group, I think, in the vision. And I do feel like he is a future world champion. But he is at the age now where WWE needs to start building him up like that. And they're doing that right now after his great win against Roman Reigns.
Yeah, absolutely. Bronson is very much a Vader-esque type of performer. So it makes sense that, you want to push this guy because he has a presence about him. So I think it makes complete sense. Josh, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I had the same opinions as both of you guys. I thought, I was certainly surprised, just to see Reigns get pinned. I did think, after putting the pieces together of it being in his hometown and also the fact that he missed last Australia show, that, it did certainly add up that Reed was going to get the win here. But it is, surprising to see, Roman Reigns has only been pinned by Cody Rhodes in single competition over the past few years. And Bronson Reed, you don't expect that name to be on that list with Cody Rhodes. So this is a monumental achievement for both Bronson's career, but also the Vision as, a group and a faction. This is a big win that is certainly going to elevate their status. And, I thought it was an entertaining match overall. I thought it was a solid start to the night. I remember hearing that this was going to main event the show, and I was like super upset. I was like, there's no way this main events. And thankfully it did not. I mean, that would have been a whole different rant for a different time. But to your point, I think Bronson Reed is right there. I think he's right there, so close to that main event level. I think he's above the mid card at this point. I think he's just steps away from becoming that main event level performer that he has the potential to be. And I think with this win, I think certainly he is elevated. And like Archie said, it's classic bloodline miscommunication. It's, in my opinion, it's the best story in professional wrestling, and I don't think the book will ever be closed on that story. I think it's just going to keep adding layers and layers. So I'm in for it. I'm in for it. I thought it was fun though.
I mean, absolutely. I think the bloodline story, and I've said this on the show before, when everything is said and done, the storytelling that's been involved with this, I don't know if there's ever been another story in wrestling that branched out as many stories and as many stars out of one single story. And every time you think it's done, there's another chapter. And I'm not opposed to that. I think storytelling is what drives this business. Yeah. So I am not opposed to this. Obviously, Roman opened the show. I think the rumor has always been Roman either wants to open the show or close the show. So I didn't think the closing was going to happen. I thought opening, that was solid. Plus you had the hometown guy in Bronson. Yeah. There are a few guys in wrestling right now that have that imposing monster aura about them. And Bronson is one of those guys. And I'm glad that they're getting behind him. Now, whether or not that leads to a world title down the road, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Obviously, I think everyone's eyes are on Bron Breakker, aka Braun Steiner. I think that's the golden goose. Like that's the next Lesnar, that's the next Batista, that's the next guy that they're going to strap a rocket to. But I absolutely think it was the logical move.
I was just, not to cut you off, I was just going to say, but I think a lot of the time with when we say, just like I said, there can be a future world champion, but a lot of the time there are only 2 world titles in the company, and a lot of the time being a world champion is very much down to timing. So yeah, they're doing well building Bronson Reed up at the minute, but then you've got so many other options that can be world champion as well. So I can see him being world champion, but it will be down to timing. So I do think if he is going to be world champion, we'll have to be a bit patient for it. And Bron Breakker might well be a world champion before him for sure.
Absolutely. It's timing, and it's also the rosters are so packed in wrestling right now, the talent pool. So it's very difficult. Like if you put a talent in a less stacked roster, obviously he's going to get higher up the card than he would under the current environments and multiple companies. This isn't just a WWE thing. This is just in wrestling in general. There's finite number of spots. Before we get to the next topic, I want to get to some of the comments. Zach Minger with National Sausage Pizza Day. I didn't know
That's a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing, but we will totally take that. Fernando, constant viewer of the show, Buenos Dias, Press Republic crew. He very much enjoyed Crown Jewel, and he also agrees with us. The plane ride footage was not exactly. It didn't land exactly the way I think any of us really kind of expected that one too. Obviously, the next one up, I'm obviously going to go to you, Archie. This is Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Vakir. The first two going for the Crown Jewel Championship, obviously last year won by Liv Morgan.
Liv Morgan,
remembering correctly.
So
this would be two first timers, no matter which one won. So I personally think Stephanie was the right choice. I see more in Stephanie than I do in Tiffany, and I know Shad gets mad, but Shad's sick, so it doesn't matter in this grand scheme of things. But what's up, Arch? What do you think?
I thought this was a really good match. To be honest with you, I was expecting a little bit more because these are two kind of athletically kind of gifted women. You know, you talk about Stephanie Vakir, who's just been owning her craft for years since she got that tryout for WWE in Chile when she was like 16, I think, or 17. And then when she didn't get it, obviously she was a bit too young to get signed. You know, she kept owning her craft and just kind of kept developing athletically. Tiffany Stratton's a former Olympic gymnast, and you know, gymnasts are just absolutely insane athletically. So I was expecting a little bit more out of this match, but it was a really good match. I think probably the timing of it didn't really help both women, especially with two women that aren't really experienced enough to be ring generals. That I think they would have benefited from a bit more time, as they're not really used to kind of making the most of the smaller time they get. But yeah, it was a good match. That both women showed their athletic prowess. And honestly, Stephanie Vakir is having a great start to a title reign. I don't want to kind of get ahead of myself because I've said it before. I said it when Io Sky won the world title. I said, you know, this could be an all-timer women's world title reign if they book it right. And unfortunately, they didn't book it right. So I'm not going to say the same about Stephanie Vakir. You know, we'll take it week by week, but it's starting very, very well. A fantastic match against Io Sky and a fantastic match against Tiffany Stratton. A match with Rhea Ripley's on the horizon, I'm sure, as well. And she's the next, you know, big star, not just in the women's division, but in WWE. So it's right that WWE are continuing to build up Vakir. And yeah, I'm excited for her future. But I'm hoping this is going to be, this title reign lives up to the potential that it has.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with you. I think this match didn't exactly deliver the way I think we kind of expected it to.
Yeah.
I've said on previous shows, I think what hurts Tiffany, and I think it's hurt her since the WrestleMania build, they're trying to force her into a square peg and she's a round hole. She's not a baby face. Stop trying to make her one. She's a natural here. It comes off as fake, and I think that kind of hurts it. Like Stephanie comes off as a legitimate face. She comes off with that aura, if you will. And I think that is what helps her connect with the audience.
It's a bit like Ray in that sense. A bit like Ray in that sense. Yeah,
exactly. Josh, obviously we have some extra time here, so what are your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, I was certainly surprised when I looked at the clock after and I saw that they only gave this match 10 minutes. You know, and after the show, when you look at Rhodes and Rollins, which is the equivalent of this match for the men's, they gave them, 30 minutes. I'm not expecting them to give, Stratton and Vakir 30 minutes, but, I thought 10 minutes was certainly short to give them. I was surprised by it. I was also a little bit surprised by the ending. I mean, I agree with both you guys. I think this match definitely could have delivered more. I thought the ending was a little bit weird. Stratton went for the, the super moonsault, missed, and then Vakir kind of went up to the corkscrew, and it was just kind of like an abrupt finish. I didn't think there was much to it. I didn't think there was much storytelling to the match. I do understand there isn't usually much storytelling matches when it's just champion versus champion, unless, Rhodes and Rollins obviously has its backstory to it. But yeah, no, I certainly agree with you guys. I think there definitely could have been more in this match. I think if it was given more time, there would have been more. So, whether it's a Hunter creative problem or just, producer, I don't know, but I expected more for sure.
Yeah, I think
I was going to say, I think there is quite interesting the contrast between the two Crown Jewel matches, because obviously Cody and Seth, that's a match that had, it was filled with storytelling, but that's because that's obviously a rivalry that's been told since Cody's return, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiffany and Stephanie, they're both kind of at the very start of their WWE careers, respectively. So I think in that sense, storytelling wise, there wasn't too much storytelling, but I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, considering we're just starting both of their journeys in that sense. But yeah, I definitely did feel that Cody and Seth felt like the bigger deal, but that's obviously because of past history. I felt like.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation because you have a limited number of matches on the card. You're only doing 5 matches, so you would think they would spread out the time. Now, I don't know if that's an ESPN thing, a Netflix thing. I don't know if they couldn't give a little bit more. That part I don't know. Obviously, Josh, you have some wrestling experience. How hard is that corkscrew to do?
Well, I actually was a gymnast, so I can humbly say I could do the corkscrew, but it is very, very hard to do. You would need like legitimate gymnastics experience. I'm lucky to say I have it myself. It is hard to do. And not only that, when you're a gymnast, you're doing the corkscrew, but you're landing it. You have to do the full spin, but you're not landing it, you're landing on your stomach. So you're not doing the full rotation. So you're controlling your entire body in midair. It is super hard to do. Plus, in wrestling, you're finding your opponent in the middle of the air. You're making sure you're not landing on her head, but on her legs. You have to land right in the middle. It's not easy.
I remember when Stephanie first tried it, I think in the tag match with Julia against Roxanne and Cora. And like all the fans were kind of going crazy over it. But like in an interview after it, she said like she hated that her first attempt at that, because she said like she messed up completely. But it's always like those intricate details I don't think kind of fans realize unless you've kind of tried it yourself, like yourself. So
it's a very small margin of error.
I'm
sure.
Yeah.
Before we get to the next topic, Millennial Noob, good morning to everybody. And he very much agrees. Stephanie Vakir has had a phenomenal year so far. And Tiffany's run as champion has been rinse and repeat, which is kind of what we said.
Yeah. It's not been completely her fault. I think her kind of stagnating in terms of popularity in WWE. I think it's creatively. I think it's hurt her as well. Like you said, maybe they should have developed her into more of a heel on the main roster. But it's difficult because like when the fans are that behind a wrestler, it's kind of difficult to just kind of turn them like that quickly.
I think one of the things is I think she's a natural heel, and I felt the same way when they forced the MJF face turn. I think you can get to a point where you're just people respect your talent and they'll cheer for you anyway. And I feel like MJF's kind of in that position, and I think that's something that Tiffany could have done. But
that's true.
But them trying to force it, I think kind of hurt it. Yeah. The next one, and obviously this is one of those dream matches. Obviously, it's happened in WWE before. John Cena against AJ Styles for the final time. This is something for longtime fans. When it was WWE against TNA in 2010, obviously somebody pointed out that AJ was wearing either the same or very similar gear as his Pro Wrestling Illustrated cover in 2010. And it is kind of trippy watching AJ with the long hair and older wearing the trunks. That kind of threw me a little bit. I got to be honest. I loved his opening. They're referencing his TNA stuff. They're referencing the Bullet Club thing, which is interesting considering they technically don't have the partnership with it. And this match was very much, and I said this in the fan chat, it was very much a fan service video game match where they're all hitting their moves or iconic moves from the past from different opponents that they both had. I did find it interesting that Michael Cole called the Walls of Jericho, which obviously leads into the whole dirt sheets of the rumors of where the originator of that move may end up going. I thought
Crowd
that was
went
kind of
crazy for it
interesting
as well.
they made it a point. He made it a point that it was the Walls of Jericho,
Yep.
which I thought was interesting. But Josh, I'm going to go back to you on this. And what's your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, to me, this was honestly like an emotional match for me. I'm 19, about to be 20 years old. So John Cena, AJ Styles, this was like my childhood. This was like the prime of like not knowing wrestling's really fake. So like, Royal Rumble 2017, like that was the match for me. So seeing these two guys go back at it, like you said, Anthony, this was, in my opinion, this was a gift to professional wrestling fans. This match didn't need a story. It didn't need, well, it had its story. It didn't need a segment on Raw. It didn't need anything like that. These two could just square up and everyone is ready to watch. And I mean, it was obvious Cena was going to get the win after the mess that happened at WrestlePalooza with Brock Lesnar. I thought this was a performance for the ages. I thought these two turned the clock back, and I thought it was an instant 5-star classic. I know Ben is gonna, rate it 2 stars because of our rating system, but in my heart, it's 5 stars. But look, I think now the retirement tour is back on track. I think if this PLE showed anything, it's that John Cena definitely still has it, and it's only gonna hurt more to see him go after keep seeing him put on these great matches ever since his face turn again. And, I think it also made everyone appreciate AJ Styles, as now it's been confirmed that he's going to retire by the end of 2026. So, I think bravo, tipping the hat to two legends. I think they left everything on the line in one of the best matches of the year. I think they left everything in that ring. End of the day, you have John Cena and AJ Styles, two of the oldest active members on this roster. They went 30 minutes in that ring, paying homage to several superstars, WWE, TNA, New Japan, all that type of stuff. I thought it was great. I really did. I thought it was great.
Yeah, when you look at this, these were the two faces of the two major companies at one point. This was Mr. TNA and Mr. WWE. And at first, for the longest time, we never thought this match would happen. Obviously, it happened when AJ jumped in 2016 when he came to WWE. We're like, okay, this is going to happen. Then the farewell tour, and you're like, well, is AJ going to be one of the select few that get that match? Because we really didn't know how this retirement tour was going to run. And a lot of people may think it's a mixed bag. I kind of feel like this retirement tour has been very much a fan service tour. Yeah, the heel turn really wasn't necessarily what I think everyone wanted, but it was a box to check of going, hey, yeah, we're giving you the heel run. How much was it really going to be when you knew he wasn't going to stay for the whole year? This isn't the Hogan turning and joining the NWO. This was never going to be that. But the fact that both AJ Styles and John Cena, two of the most decorated performers in the history of this business, are on their retirement tours. Cena is supposed to retire at the end of the year. Whether or not that happens or they drag it out to Mania, I wouldn't be shocked. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be shocked if they do that. I know they keep saying it, but I'm like, I don't know. Because if you go year to year, technically it's January, February, if you want to go technical about it. If you really wanted to go for the date. But obviously I enjoyed the match. I thought it was a great match. Again, it's a very much fan service match. And I don't have a problem with that. These are two guys that are well decorated. Both of them are 48 years old, close to 50 years old, and they're going out on their terms. As far as we know, AJ's going out on his terms as well. But obviously we're going to see more of this and see where this goes. Archie, what's your thoughts on all of this?
I mean, right, first of all, it's not any secret that John Cena's one of the people that got me into wrestling. Cena and Punk headlined the first ever pay-per-view that I bought, or my parents bought for me, Money in the Bank 2011. So this farewell tour did mean a lot to me, and I'm not shy to say that the booking of this farewell tour has probably been one of the most disappointed I've been as a fan in wrestling, because I feel like it was so easy to book this farewell tour, and then we had the heel run, which there's no mistake about it. It was absolutely terrible, and then the Brock stuff, and I don't really want to go into the Brock stuff, but I don't think that was needed at all. It didn't really help anyone in that situation. That match didn't help anyone. But I'm really past the point of complaining about it now. I just want to enjoy Cena in his last few months that we've got him in wrestling, because I think he is retiring in December. I don't think he's going up till Mania like you think, Ant. But I just want to enjoy Cena now, and this match was perfect. It was like a love letter to not only Cena and Styles' past opponents, but kind of a love letter to wrestling in general. We saw the RKO, Cena, the skull crushing finale. Moves from Cena's past rivals. We saw the angel wings from AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, obviously, the Coquina clutch from Samoa Joe, obviously. That little Easter egg for the triple threat match, that iconic triple threat match, was I still think probably the best triple threat match of all time. And I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. And the ending was fantastic. I didn't think I'd see a tombstone pile driver in WWE again, but when we saw it, I didn't think it'd be John Cena giving it, but I thought it was a fantastic ending. I didn't want it to just finish on an AA just out of nowhere. Getting the tombstone and then finishing it off with the AA was the best way to do it. As you mentioned, the Chris Jericho as well. There was just so many things to take out of this match, and it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I had a massive blast with this match, and that's what wrestling needs to be. It just needs to be fun. And I just want to have fun with Cena's last months in this farewell tour. I have not been impressed with his farewell tour, but it's clear that he's still got it, and I'm excited to just enjoy these last few months. I'm hoping that we get at least Cena versus Dom and Cena versus Gunther, and then I'll be a happy man. And then anything else can happen after that. I'm fine.
Okay, Archie, that was going to be my next question. Since you've already said you think those are the last two.
I don't know if I think they're the last two, but they're what I hope. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, we're limited here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Cena in. You're really going with that. I wouldn't be surprised if Cena's in the War Games match. To be honest, like that's something to check off.
You can get a couple people, yeah.
Yeah, and he's never competed in a War Games match. But there's obviously I'd love to see him challenge Dom for the Intercontinental title. It's a title that he's not won. So that would be really cool. And I just think Gunther's the perfect final opponent for him. But I've not been impressed with his farewell tour. I'm not afraid to admit that.
Gunther really is the guy to be at the door to retire every legend at this point. It'll probably be AJ too at some point.
Yeah. I just hope that with AJ's farewell tour that they do him justice more than they did Cena justice, because as much as I love Cena, I feel like AJ's is probably one of the greatest in-ring performers ever that I've seen. And so he deserves to go out in a big way in ring wise, I think. So although Cena's farewell tour has been a bit messy, it's kind of defined his whole career, because his whole career has been a bit messy, especially with his relationship with the fans as well. I just hope they do AJ's farewell tour justice next year.
Yeah. Honestly, I've always felt it was Sean then AJ in the progression of the goats. Josh, real quick, who do you think are his final two? Because I'm kind of agreeing it's probably Dom and Gunther, although I want that countdown clock. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, there's 4 dates left, so he's got Survivor Series, he's got Saturday Night's Main Event, and he's got 2 dates in Raw. One's in Boston, one's in MSG. So, Boston's going to be the hometown, obviously. That's going to be a big match, I hope, on Raw. MSG, I would hope, also will be a nice match. I'm assuming he's going to get 4 more matches. I really hope he doesn't just, have segments and, MSG and, that's it. I would hope they get a match. I don't think it'll be an announced match. I think it'll be, an opening segment, and then it'll lead into a match. But but as for the PLEs, I do agree. I think it's going to be Dom and Gunther. The only thing that I'm curious about or on the edge about is because so say he faces Dom and he beats Dom. I would hope Dom doesn't beat Cena. I mean, that certainly wouldn't be that fun. But I mean, maybe he would. But if Cena beats Dom and
Right.
takes the title, then it's like I feel like adding the Intercontinental Championship to his last match ever honestly makes it worse somehow.
Yeah, I agree, but I wouldn't hate Dom beating Cena because it adds to his legacy. And
I wouldn't hate it.
Honestly, if Dom beats Cena and he's got the Intercontinental, he's got the Mega Championship, he's beaten Cena, he's having multiple Mamacitas, he might have the best year of anybody in wrestling in 2025 if we're looking at the
100%.
grand scheme of things.
100%.
Mamacita.
He is going his illegitimate father Eddie's route. So I mean, he is going that direction.
And I did see one quickly before you go into the next part, but I did see one person say on, I can't remember who it was, but they said like in Boston it would be quite cool if, obviously we know the Miz has been quite vocal about not facing Cena. It'd be quite cool if Miz comes out and then
Miz has to,
and then as he's about to take the match, then Mello takes Miz out, and then it's actually Mello versus Cena in Boston.
I'm okay
instead.
with that.
Yeah, I feel like
totally
that would be
okay with
quite
that.
cool.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Honestly, one last thing, and I do have to say this. I stand by they missed the boat at SummerSlam, not doing a custody of Dom match with Liv and Rhea in a ladder match. I'm sorry. I still think they should have done that. All right. Next up, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky against the Kabuki Warriors. This has been kind of fun watching on TV because I honestly, every time Asuka yells, it cracks me up. I'm sorry. I'm a sucker for that whole routine that she's doing.
They not made a Kyrie shirt yet.
Yes. But this is kind of one of those things where obviously, like Bronson Reed, Rhea, hometown, Australia, or home country, and obviously the hometown people went over. Josh, I want to get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, I thought the match flowed well. I thought every star got, their chance to shine, which is something that really makes a difference in tag team matches when all four members can actually get big spots and get the crowd over themselves. I actually really enjoyed this match. I mean, they gave this match double the time that they gave the Women's Crown Jewel Championship match, which was super surprising. I couldn't believe they gave this match 20 minutes on paper, but they did. And honestly, they delivered. I thought it was super fun. I agree with you. I think Asuka is super fun and she's screaming, and something about her when you don't know what she's saying, it makes it even crazier and it makes it more scary and heel-ish. So that's, that's always fun. And yeah, I mean, like you said, it's unlikely that Rhea Ripley's going to lose in her home country, but the match did a good job of actually making it seem like it was possible. I thought there were a lot of fun spots in this match. I think when you look at this on paper and you see it's 20 minutes, you're probably expecting, to be some small spots in between and a big spot. But honestly, I thought it flowed very nicely. I thought the Rhea Ripley hot tag was super fun. And I don't think the story between these four is over yet. But, it was a great start. I think personally, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I completely agree with Josh. I don't think this is the end of it. They probably could have deducted maybe the 5 from here and put it in the Crown Jewel women's match. They probably could have, so it's at least fair. But I was completely fine with it. Archie, real quick, do you have any additional thoughts on this one, or we'll go to the
I've got to be honest. This has been one of the stories that's been carrying my interest in wrestling, to be honest, because I've absolutely just loved this story. It's really refreshing to see the women's division kind of get an in-depth story like this with multiple layers. And I've just absolutely loved Asuka as a heel, and she's actually really surprised me of how good she is as a heel. And on the main roster, we haven't really seen that dominant Asuka that we saw in NXT. I think this heel run could take her to a world title, and it could give us that dominant Asuka run, and that we haven't seen on the main roster, and potentially, and then she can maybe make someone from that title run. But I think there's, obviously Rhea and Io is a special partnership, but I think there's a lot that they can do with this Asuka heel run. And I feel like if they don't put the world title on her and kind of give her that dominant heel run, then that might be a missed opportunity, I think.
Yeah, Asuka is an incredibly special talent. No question on that one. The main event. Obviously, these two have had a heck of a rivalry. The trilogy, arguably the best of that year. Obviously, people that have watched us a long time and watched Sold Separately when I covered the Cody memorabilia, I have a piece of the ring mat from the Torn Pec match. The WrestleMania 38, Cody's return. That piece of ring mat is held by Clark at this time. But this is such a great rivalry. Before I get to you guys, I do want to say I love this. I was not crazy about the super crossroads off the top rope because I feel like that should really be reserved for somebody that's winning the match. But I have to say I loved Seth's gear because it had elements to all three matches. It had the polka dots, it had the stripes, it had like everything, a mix of the previous three matches. And I love that he used the watch that Cody gave him from WrestleMania 40. I love that. I thought the attention to detail and the storytelling, I loved. I absolutely love this match. And for me, it was my match of the night, other than Cena and Styles. But Josh, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think the story was redemption, and I thought it was great. I think Cody has been haunting Rollins for years now, has his number. And I think a loss for Rollins would have been catastrophic for him, for the Vision as a faction. I do think it would have been interesting. I know they were building it up on Raw, and even in a segment earlier on the show, they were talking about, what they're going to do if Rollins loses. And I feel like they didn't really do anything with that. So that was a little confusing, honestly. I was surprised. Like, I feel like they had several TV segments saying, like, I think we know what's going to happen if Rollins loses. And nothing really happenend with that, which, end of the day, I'm happy there were no interactions or distractions. But I was kind of surprised they didn't do anything with those segments. But, I thought, although he did resort to, using the watch, I thought originally when he didn't use the watch, that was like, okay, maybe he's not as bad of a guy as we think. And then he ended up desperately reaching for the watch, and the watch that he gave him, which is just a great story to be told, and ended up winning with that. So, I thought it was great. And I did think at the end when Rollins was cutting his promo about him being the greatest of all time, I really wanted to see John Cena come out and challenge him to a match on Raw. I really did. I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I wanted to see that happen. I was surprised there was no interruption there. But, I mean, look, he ended the show on top saying he's the greatest of all time. Why not? Why not? Seth's great. I love that. I love that for him. It's a great match. I agree.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we don't see Seth have doubts. And Cody rattled him because Cody's beaten him 3 times, clean, all 3 times. So, to him having those doubts, which is not usual, I think that added an element to this. And obviously the speculation of, are they going to pull an evolution here and they're going to turn on Seth and there's going to be an overthrow, a coup, if you will, for the Brons and Paul. I think that element was a part of it. Obviously, Archie, I'm going to go to you last. But I do want to say Millennium Noob enjoyed the match, and Jesse Hyde enjoyed Crown Jewel, and obviously brings up there's an uncertainty with a number of talents that unfortunately have been let go. And we're going to see what happens with them. I think a lot of them are probably going to succeed elsewhere. I think Wesley's probably going back to TNA with the Rascals, but that's just my guess. But Archie, what is your thoughts on the main event?
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned in this show, this has been a match that's been, is a story that's been told since Cody's return. Seth and Cody have just kind of been, like that since Cody's return. Even Cody's the biggest moment of his career, winning the title at Mania 40. Seth was a massive part of it, and I just absolutely love this match. Seth really sold how desperate of a man he is to kind of beat Cody Rhodes and show he can beat Cody. And I feel like Cody also was able to show himself in kind of denial a bit and kind of think, this isn't really Seth's not. This isn't this Seth. This version of Seth isn't the Seth that he's fought through hell in a cell with, through hell with, literally. So there were so many elements of the story I absolutely loved, and the match was fantastic. As we know, with these two are always going to have a fantastic match together. The Hell in a Cell match was my match of the year. This probably wasn't match of the year contender, but this was a really, really fun match. And And the whole stuff with the Vision, I actually really love. I love that. What I really love is we're seeing doubt in Paul Heyman's mind pretty much for the first time in his career, that he's kind of second guessing a decision that he's made, because this has kind of been, from my point of view, the way they've sold this decision that Paul made to turn on Roman and Punk at Mania. They made it seem like it was very much a rushed decision, and now you can kind of see Paul maybe trying to wiggle his way out of this situation and trying to find a way out of Seth's grasp, I guess. So I really do like that aspect of Heyman just kind of trying to find any way he can, or any excuse he can to kind of say, well, this isn't working, I'll see you later. So yeah, I just love the whole storyline. We can talk about match quality all we want, but as you said, storyline drives this business, or storytelling drives this business. And the storytelling throughout the Vision between Cody and Seth, it's all been, outstanding.
Yeah, I think the unique thing with Cody and Seth, I consider them type of performers, and this is the type of rivalry where they're forever rivals. Like, they can have multiple matches against one another, and everyone's enjoyable.
Mhm.
Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, I consider them. Sean and Hunter.
Yeah.
Obviously.
KO and Sammy.
Yeah, KO and Sammy.
Yeah.
Wrestling soulmates.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, even Gargano and Ciampa, when they were feuding back in the day. Like, there's just something special there. But I want to thank everybody for watching as we are approaching the end of the show, and before Ben gives me my pink slip of firing me from hosting duties, I want to again thank everybody for watching. We will be back tomorrow, I believe, in the normal time slot, and I believe it's Sunday Fun Day. I think. I don't know what the topic is on that. I haven't been called in to host that, so that's all I know. But feel free to like and subscribe to this channel, and obviously the Undercard channel, and enjoying our programming. See you guys next time.